Ian, it's been a while. How you doing? How was Thanksgiving?
Good, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good, man. We're about 2 weeks from it now, but it was great. I ate well. Just hanging with the family, watching college football, all that good stuff. Just can't beat this time of year, man. Always love the holiday season.
Yeah, I know it's almost Christmas, so we're right around the corner.
Literally, it's crazy how fast this whole year flew by, and another season is about midway past us at this point. Buzzpound, thank you for joining us for season two, episode 10. Today we're going to be going over a little bit of what we haven't gone over the past bit of weeks. We missed a few episodes. Life gets a little busy, but Ian, you ready to get it going, man?
I'm ready, man.
All right, let's do it.
Touchdown, Carolina!
You're listening to the Buzz Pound.
Smith scores, and the Carolina Panthers win in overtime.
A Queen City sports podcast covering your Charlotte Hornets and Carolina Panthers.
Halliburton, nowhere to go! LaMelo's done it! LaMelo's done it! Hornets win! Here comes LaMelo.
Here are your hosts, Ian Blair and Cam Gardner.
Buzzpound, thank you for joining us today for season two, episode 10. Ian, how about these Panthers, man? Good bit of wins, few losses there, but how you feeling now sitting at where we are?
I'm feeling good, man. Sitting at 7-6. Definitely right where we need to be, especially with the how the divisions kind of played out with the Bucks kind of falling apart a little bit, and we're right around that division mark. We're tied with the Bucks right now for first place, and we still got to play them twice. So it's really our division to lose at this point. You know what I mean? And I know the Bucks are feeling the same way, but I'm really proud with how this team's played so far. I mean, 7 wins and wins against some really good teams too has helped us out. We're a little inconsistent. Bryce is inconsistent, but I'll take 7 wins. We're right where we need to be, and the team's looking really good. And we definitely did make improvements from you know, last year, which is really good. I mean, we're already past our win total from last year, and we still have plenty of games to go, especially this week against the Saints, which should be a winnable game. But I'm really happy about this team. How about you?
Man, I'm feeling good. It's been a while since we've had somewhat of a decent record. I mean, we're above some of the actual good teams or the teams that were good for a long time. So it feels good. I mean, got a better record than the Chiefs. How does I mean that's it's kind of absurd in a way. They've been dominating the league for the past handful of years and a bit of other teams, but it feels good to be in the mix. It feels good to hear, the Panthers name coming out of some of the higher up analysts on TV that we watch daily or hear from daily. Like I said, I mean, we're in control of our destiny at this point. We're neck and neck, literally, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Literally toe for toe. Only one of us can get it done. I'm hoping it's us, fingers crossed. But man, it feels good. It's just been a long time since we've seen some tolerable football from these Panthers. Like you said, there's still inconsistency, but I'm satisfied with where we are, especially since, where we have been over the past 2 years, not just last year, but remember the year before that was only like 2 wins. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're definitely improving, and we're right where we need to be. I'm really surprised. I'm happily surprised with this team, especially with early in the year. We thought it was going to be kind of a bad year, but it's really turned out to be what we thought it was going to be at the start of the year. Right around 500 is kind of where I expected to be, and hopefully by the end of the year, still having to play the Bucks twice helps us significantly because the Saints and the Falcons are already eliminated from playoffs, so it's really going to be one of us two going to playoffs. So those two matchups against the Bucks are really going to play important part of our season.
absolutely, they're extremely key. I am focused on those games more so than anything else we have in between. But just to recap a little bit here of where we stand. Our last episode, I believe, was against the Packers following that game. We ultimately won that game. Um, since then, we've played the New Orleans Saints, which was a disappointing loss, 7-17, at home, which made it even worse for me personally. I'm sure you as well. Atlanta Falcons away. It was a win, overtime win at that, 30-27. 49ers, disappointing Monday night loss, 9-20. I expected somewhat better from our boys, but we were texting that night. I'm sure we'll discuss a little bit of that later. Huge win against the Los Angeles Rams. It ended up being a 31-28 score. And now we're coming off of the bye week, upcoming game against the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. So that's pretty much where we're standing. Like you mentioned, we are sitting at 7-6. How are we feeling overall those previous games? For me, that LA game was huge. A lot of people talked about the Rams as a Super Bowl contender team, and for us to be able to compete against a team like that was major to me.
Yeah, I agree. We're definitely coming off of a big win, and then the bye week. So we had a week of rest and everything. We kind of have a late bye week this year, but we've been kind of up and down. The game against the Packers looked really good, and then follow that up with the Saints, and then go to we win against the Falcons in overtime, and then follow that up with a Monday night loss to the 49ers, and then beat the Rams. So really just got to get it consistent. I mean, we're beating teams that we shouldn't beat and losing to teams that we shouldn't. So it's definitely very interesting, kind of with how our schedules played out. And the Niners is one of those losses that on paper we might not have been or should have won the game, but really with how that game played out, with how many interceptions Brock Purdy threw, definitely a game we should have won. But I'm feeling good, especially coming off this bye week, this past week. I feel like the team's, rested and we're getting some guys back. I know Austin Corbett's coming back. And definitely just some, JC Horn, Trayvon Merrick, guys like that. We're getting back, which is going to be, I think it's going to be huge for the team. Um, and we need to beat the Saints, and then we need to beat the Bucks at least once, if we want to, have playoff aspirations. So I'm optimistic about this team. I'm very happy with where we're sitting, and the sky's the limit. Ultimately, if we don't get it done this year, we got to improve in the off season and look towards next year. And I think we're going to be even better team than we were this year next year. So, definitely in a good spot.
Definitely, man. Going back to that Monday night San Francisco loss, it was also a little. What made it hurt even more was going against our former star running back, Christian McCaffrey. Seeing him come out there and do Christian McCaffrey things. We'll forever remember what he did for our team. Still rooting for the man. Still a heck of a player, honestly. I respect him all day. But like you said, all those interceptions that Brock Purdy threw, we should have made something out of those. That game should have been a lot closer. And what really did it for me was that red zone interception from Bryce Young. We were texting that night about that. That overall play was just, I don't even have much words for it. And we're some weeks past it. I mean, we followed up with a win against the Rams, which was clutch. Because I was very iffy going into that game. Um, Honestly, I was leaning more doubtful because we lost people like JC Horn and some other guys, some key guys. So I wasn't sure what our defense was going to do, but we ended up going up against those guys really well with what we had. Everybody stood up, came up to the plate, and Bryce Young led the team very well. And I just hope we can, you know, take what we had in that game and go against the Saints that way. Last time we played the Saints, it was not a pretty game by any means, but 7-17, I expected way better than that, especially coming off of, the few wins we had before that, such as the Packers game. So, I, I'm not sure what their current record is. I know when we played them, we gave them their second win at the time.
Saints are
But
3-10, I believe.
okay, so they've since won another one. So, like we said last time, I mean, there's really no reason for us not to beat these guys, but with the inconsistency of this team, in reality, you never really know. And personally, this past this past Sunday, being on a bye week for me, it felt good not having to worry about the Panthers in a way because most of my Sundays I go into the day not really knowing what these guys may do. Not sure which form of Bryce Young may show up. but you know, I like you, optimistic about the team, but there's so much, potential there. I feel like we can grow up, grow on, and even next year, I mean, even if we don't ultimately win the division this year, we should be able to pack on what we built this year because we've improved heavily. So, and got to mention the Seahawks. We got to throw them in there. We play them at some point as well this season. So, I feel like it's some games we got that we can and should win. We got to beat the Bucks at least once, like you said, but inconsistency, man. I mean, you don't know what we're going to bring each Sunday, but you always hope for the best at least.
Yeah, yeah, it's got to be consistent. I mean, Bryce has really good games, and then he has really bad games. I think a lot of the play calling against the 49ers was just inconsistent. We were kind of pushing too much in the red zone, I think, at least for my liking, and it was really inconsistent play calling against the 49ers, but Bryce has just got to be consistent. He's got to, instead of, going up and down, he's got to make it more of a straight line, just with his consistency and kind of settle down a little bit because, he has games where he looks really bad and looks kind of like, Bryce Young we've seen previously. And then he has games like he did against the Falcons where he throws for 500 yards, or nearly 500 yards. So just gotta settle him down and make it a week to week thing where we're consistent and we're not having up and down weeks like we are. I think when especially against the Rams, against the Falcons, teams like that, he played really well and he kind of showed um, that number one pick, you know potential. But other games like the Niners, like against the Saints when we lost, he doesn't look very good. So. I'm hoping for a bounce back this week against the Saints the second time, and hopefully later on and throughout the year he can kind of balance it out a little bit and be more consistent.
Yeah, man. And it's a team effort overall. Rico Dowdle, I want to shout him out. I believe he's officially taken on that leading, leading rusher position. He is spectacular. He's been spectacular all season. Chuba Hubbard, he comes out there, he does his thing as well, but can't deny what Rico is doing. The man is special. I'm hoping we can hold on to him following the season because he's on a 1 year deal. But it's a team effort at the end of the day, but ultimately Bryce is the one that's leading our boys, and hopefully he can continue to bring that leading mentality and help, get us to wins, even if it is overtime wins, because we, have a thing for doing that. And when we do have overtime, he tends to make his magic work. So,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And shout out to Chuba last game against the Rams. Like he kind of was the lead back against the Rams. Really shined in the Rams games. I believe he had two touchdowns. I know he had one receiving touchdown, which was huge early in the game, and then he had, I believe, over 100 yards rushing, if I'm not mistaken. So, or 100 all-purpose yards. So definitely running back by committee. Rico's had some slow weeks here recently, but definitely been a really solid running back throughout the year. And it's good to have two really good running backs in the backfield that we have.
absolutely. And it's honestly a good feeling having two guys you can at least depend on for the most part in those positions. So, but yeah, man, I mean, the goal is to just keep climbing the standings, sitting at 7-6. Hopefully we can stack some more and hopefully solidify the, NFC South. Um, it's been a long time coming. That'll make my year if we're able to do that, honestly, even if we don't get further or much further than like a wild card or somewhere. But I just want to at least make an appearance because the past few seasons or bit of seasons at that, even before Bryce Young got there, Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater, all that. I mean, it's been a long time coming, man. We've been through some slumps here, but things are finally starting to look up for us just a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Dave Canales has impressed me overall, and the front office, they've kind of settled in. And I think, anytime you're able to go into a second year as a head coach, we kept firing coaches, whether it was Frank Reich or Matt Rule, and then bring David Canales in, kind of get settled down a little bit and have that second year under his belt. I think he's just going to continue to improve as a coach and kind of get more comfortable throughout his seasons, and hopefully he's around for a long time because I think he's definitely made improvements from year one to year two, and the roster's only getting better. It's really, there's going to be a point probably after next year where it's harder to get better from a roster standpoint because we were so bad the past couple of years with undrafted free agent guys that shouldn't have been on the field. But everybody were kind of settling in. I think we've got a good wide receiver room and we got some good pieces. Hopefully, we could retain Rico. I mean, people forget about Jonathan Brooks, who's been out all year, coming off that torn ACL last year and back-to-back years. But it's going to be interesting to see what we do with Rico. But I think Jonathan Brooks still has, he's still young. I believe he's got to be. I think as of right now, recording the podcast, he's either 23 or 24. So he's still really young. I mean, we just haven't heard much from him because he's had his knee tore up, but unfortunately, but we expect him back for hopefully training camp of next year and see what he can do because I think he has a lot of talent. There's a reason we drafted him in the second round last year. So yeah, I think we have a good roster and we just got to continue to build. JC Horn's played really well this year. I've been really, really pleased with the extension we gave him, and I think Derek Brown. I mean, I talk about him every week on the pod that we record. Is Derek Brown's so good? I mean, he's the best defensive tackle in the league, in my opinion, especially this year. Just with his leadership ability, and the plays he shows up. The one of Matt Stafford's interceptions was on a Derek Brown tip. So definitely really impressed with this team.
Yeah, man, and special shout out to rookie Ted McMillan. He's adjusted very, very well to
Yeah.
the league. He's up there as a candidate for potential rookie of the year. I think he's well deserving of being a candidate. He is special. Him and Bryce have a very good connection there. And since we first seen him, even in preseason, he showed effort. He wants to be known. He wants to be a good receiver in the league. And he's showing every bit of it to me. I mean, if not by next season, if not by the end of the season, but if not by next season or hopefully the season after that, he's looking like he'll be our wide receiver one at some point. He is so special. And I feel like we haven't even seen the best of him yet. He's so young. It's just year one, but he's already making some noise.
Yeah, I think he's definitely wide receiver one already, at least on our roster. We're looking 3, 4 years, maybe him being one of the best in the league. But yeah, he's really impressed me. Played well and justified why we drafted him number 8 overall for sure.
Yeah, and I want to give Jalen Coker a shout out too. He's, making his way into the rotation well and, you know, being where he fits best, making things happen, especially coming off injury. So special shout out to him and you know, um yeah, man, I mean just overall the roster is solid. I think proud of where we are right now. Hopefully we can continue to build, but transition a little bit, basketball. These Hornets, man, every year, same thing, just a different year. Injury bug, defensive struggles, just inconsistent play, you name it all. Currently sitting at 7-17. What are your thoughts overall?
Yeah, really short segment from me here because I haven't been able really to keep up, or have I wanted to keep up with this team. Man, I'm frustrated. I'm really happy with how, on the bright side, I'm really happy with how Con Knipples played. Obviously, looking like potential rookie of the year on that side of the city, on the court. But man, LaMelo Ball, these guys, I mean, I don't know what injury bug or if there's a plague or something in Charlotte with injuries, and I don't know what's going on, but I saw a clip the other day of LaMelo Ball again. Believe it was against the Knicks, and he had um, between the legs 8 times against Jalen Brunson and threw up a three, and it was a brick. I'm like, it's just an unserious team. I mean, I always loved the Hornets, but it's an unserious franchise. This team has never been good in my lifetime. I'm really frustrated, and I wouldn't be so frustrated if, the Celtics had Jason Tatum or the Pacers had Tyrese Halliburton and it was kind of a 2-team race, but the East is wide open. It's wide open this year. There's no reason we shouldn't be competing at a high level with this team, but guys continue to be hurt. Shout out Condon Nipple again, hasn't missed any time really. I mean, if at all. We've missed time from Brandon Miller. He hasn't played particularly well when he's on the court, at least from a shooting perspective. He hasn't been shooting the ball from very well from an efficiency standpoint. And Miles Bridges is just a justified role player at this point. So Khan's played really well. I think that's really the bright part of this team right now, and we could still go on a run. It's early in the year, but they've been very, very, very underwhelming up to this point, in my opinion, especially with how talented our roster is. And there's just no leadership at all. I don't think LaMelo is ever going to figure that out. Um, and there's a strong, strong possibility that he's dealt at the trade deadline. As the days go on, I continue to think he's getting dealt just because it's proven that it's not going to work out here. With him, we're not turning it into wins. And he's played well when he's on the court. He's a great player, fun to watch, but he's just always hurt. And the between the legs 8 times and just chucking up a three, I haven't been able to watch all the games really, but it's just funny sometimes, man.
Well, there's a reason I think that he gets benched sometimes in the final 2 minutes of a game. Because sometimes the team can find momentum better without him on there, especially in moments like that. I mean, he's a heck of a player, but I don't know if he's that guy we want taking that last shot of the game. I mean, Nipple has proven to be that guy. He's done it on multiple occasions, or at least been able to send us to overtimes. And like you said, Miles Bridges, he's just a role player, but it's to me, it seems like he's the only one even trying to bring some form of leadership to the team. I mean, he's a young player, but I think he's our longest tenured person on our team currently.
Mhm.
And he's not an all-star player. He's not that guy to be the face of a franchise. But like you, I'm at the point where I'm not surprised at all if LaMelo gets traded. Would I be disappointed? Yeah, because when we got him, we knew what he was, the hype around him coming out of all the way back to, him and his brothers being in high school and him playing overseas and being drafted early in the league, having all this potential. It just seemed like a fresh start. In those first few years, it seemed like we had something to build on. I mean, we made it to the play-in, but we choked both times 2 years in a row. And then that whole team that we had at the time, that got dismantled. But I thought, sure, we'd be able to build on that, especially when we got Brandon Miller, now having Conker Nipple, brought Miles Bridges back after his situation, and getting a Trey Man who's a great six man, or at least in my vision, he's one of the best in the league. Probably if he was on a better franchise, he'd probably be making more noise. But he signed an extension with us for a reason. He obviously wants to be there. But man, it's disappointing. Like you said, I don't know if it's something in the air in the city of Charlotte, but this franchise, ever since it returned, I hear all of these stories from relatives of mine who went to the original Hornets games back in the day before they went to New Orleans, how they actually were a solid team. They were competitive. It was a real exciting franchise at the time. They used to make it to playoffs. They made runs against the Bulls back in the day with Michael Jordan. Obviously, they didn't win those series, but just to be able to be in that mix and in our lifetime, we have not experienced that. The last time we made it to the playoffs was 2016, and we already knew at that time we were not getting far. I mean, you still had Dwayne Wade playing with the Heat. Obviously, LeBron and them ultimately won that year in the East, but at least we were in the playoffs. And to me, back then, the team wasn't even nearly as talented as to what we have now. But it's just disappointing, man. Every year, it seems like when everybody's healthy, we should have a shot at, you know, being a top team in the East, especially with this year. Like you said, there's no reason. It's wide open. Tatum's out, Halliburton's out. So those two teams ultimately probably won't win a chip, but we should at least be top 5 or 6, being able to compete or get a playoff spot. But can't even do that. It's it's really disappointing. And I hate to say it again. I mean, I just wouldn't be surprised if LaMelo did get traded at the deadline. The rumors were out there at one point some weeks ago. Anonymous source came out and said that LaMelo wants to leave or he wants to be traded. Then he came out and said he liked it there. Players always say that whenever something like that's going on, they don't sometimes want to straight out say it unless they really have something going on with the front office. Prime example, James Harden and Daryl Morey with the 76ers. He was public about not wanting to be there and not wanting to play for that organization. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not going to jump ship from this team. I mean, it's the hometown team. I'm forever going to bleed Panthers, Hornets, what have you. But it's just ever since we came back as a extinction team, even during the Bobcat days, it's never been a good turnout outside of the 2016 or 2015-16 season. So it's tough, but that's just unfortunately where we are.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's just frustrating, and yeah, I mean, jumping ship is never in question. I'm always going to love this team, but it's just frustrating. I wish I was really looking forward to tuning into the Hornets games every night. I'm not the biggest basketball fan in the world, but it's just frustrating. I have no desire to watch it. It sounds horrible, but I have no desire to watch this team right now because they're just not playing at a high level. And, a lot of games are, I box score watch and I look at the games, but it's never really super competitive. I feel like, we get down and then we're down for the rest of the game and never come back. I feel like from the first whistle to the end, it's just like we're down by, 5, 10 points and then the game's over. It's just frustrating. And, they have the saying, your best ability is your availability. And, nobody's available on this team besides Con Knipple and Miles Bridges right now. Brandon Miller being hurt. Colin Sexton dealt with a little bit of an injury thing. I believe he had missed some time. I might be mistaken, but LaMelo, everybody's just missed time, and it's not really that fun to watch whenever you don't have your best players playing and you're not competitive in these games. So. I don't have much insight on this team currently, just because we're not playing at a very high level and, we should with a wide open East, we should at least be around a play-in spot and we're not currently getting the job done. So super frustrating. And plus all my attention's on the Panthers right now because we are playing well and we're right there in the division. So really just focus on the Panthers and the success they're having. I always love the Hornets, never, jumping ship is completely out of the question, but it's just frustrating, and I wish we had something to cheer for that was a good product on the court. And, we just haven't been able to get it done really in our lifetime that I could ever remember.
Yeah, man. And one other point I'm going to make, because I remember and I just pulled it back up. So I'm not sure if you saw this, but about 2 days ago, KJ Simpson, one of our players that often bounces back and forth between the Swarm and Greensboro and Charlotte, he was in a press conference and he mentioned that he always preaches that Miles Bridges is our leader because he's always consistent day in and day out, whether his play or through his voice, he's always talking. You know, that should be LaMelo Ball you're hearing that about. And that just shows there's a lot wrong. I mean, no disrespect to Miles Bridges. I mean, he's a role player between him and Nipple. They're the only ones that come every night, even trying to bring some type of winning play to the game, but or to each night that we play. But that's not the person that should be the leading voice. That should be LaMelo Ball. This is his team. He signed that extension a handful of years back to be that face and leader. And currently, right now, he's not doing that. I mean, he's missing so many games, which has been majority of his career so far. So it's tough as a fan. You want to see better, but like you said, neither one of our lifetimes we've seen this organization be serious at all. So, like I said, it's early in the season. It would be something if we somehow made a run. I don't know what to expect at the deadline. Um, I'll be very surprised if LaMelo is still around. If he is, I don't think he's back with us after the season. I'm pretty certain they're going to start looking. I mean, there's not really anybody you're going to be able to get on that caliber. I'm not sure what, and the thing is, we got to it's got to make sense for what we get in return for him. I don't want it to be just some chunk change that we're getting for LaMelo Ball. I want to get something that someone makes up for getting rid of somebody like him. But someone's going to have to take that leading role. Not sure if that would be Brandon Miller. Not sure if that would be Con Knipple. Con is just a rookie, but he seems to be that guy that could potentially be a future face of the team the way this is going. I mean, he's having way more of a splash of a rookie season than LaMelo did.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're not seeing a LaMelo. He's just, I'm to the point where I don't think LaMelo's ever going to be a leader. You know, we've been saying it for multiple off seasons, at least, and I believe this personally that he needed to take that next step and be that leader. And we're continuing down this path. I mean, he's been in the league for quite a bit now. You know, we're to the point where, you know, he had his rookie years and his early years. We're entering his where he's supposed to be in his prime, really, and we're still not seeing the leadership out of him. And Hornets fans that listen to this podcast, don't be surprised if the Hornets sell at the deadline. I'm talking about potentially moving LaMelo Ball. I wouldn't be surprised if we move Miles Bridges because I mean, if we continue down this path, if we continue down this path of losing, you know, it's beating a dead horse at some point. You know, you got to make some moves, got to make some adjustments. You know, it's not working, so you've got to change something. And I think Cons definitely showed some flashes early, and he is a rookie, so he's still really young, but the current thing we got going on right now is not working. I mean, it's proven to not work. And maybe they prove me wrong and go on a run and we make the playoffs, but right now it's not looking like that early in the year, especially with the wide open East, games we should win against teams we should beat, and we're not able to get the job done. And players are still hurt, and players are not playing every night, and they're on the injury report. And I'm just, you know, I'm really frustrated because we have the talent. LaMelo's a talented player. He's got all the talent in the world, and Brandon Miller's really talented as well, but these guys are not playing. So, and even when they do play, I mean, the defense has been a struggle all year. It's been a struggle for years, I feel like. We haven't played really good defense, so as a team, that is. So that's really all I have on the Hornets, man. I don't have much on them just because I don't have a lot of positive things to say, really. But I would imagine if we do deal LaMelo at the trade deadline, that we would get a good package for him, just because I think teams around the league see his talent and see his that he is a valuable piece to an organization that already has a proven leader, that's looking to make that playoff push. So you know, I think we would get a good package trade for him. I would like picks just to stack picks, honestly, like what Sam Presley's doing with the Oklahoma City Thunder. You know, they've got guys over there. Shout out to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who should have been a Hornet. And yeah, man, it's just really bad in Spectrum Center right now.
Yeah, seeing Shea in that Hornet hat sometimes gives me, I don't even know what the word is. It makes me sad. I mean, seeing
Mhm.
certain people wearing those, I mean, obviously the Kobe thing,
Yep.
rest in peace, will always, that's going to be the number one every single time. But he knew he didn't want to be in Charlotte, and they made it happen for him. But man, we could have also had Donovan Mitchell too. It sounded like that was pretty close as well. So, and you see what he is as a player. I know he hasn't won yet, but he's a heck of a player. One of my favorite guards to watch. Reminds me a lot of like Dwayne Wade a little bit, but man, it's just the story of our franchise. But hopefully at some point we can I think this trade deadline I feel like is going to be one of the bigger ones in a long time for our organization. So whatever they decide, hopefully it can be beneficial for our future because something's going to have to change. It's not going to be able to last all season long. But that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And one last story before we wrap the podcast. Actually, I remember the first time when I was a young little Bobcats fan. I remember the first time someone told me that Kobe Bryant was supposed to be a Hornet. Rest in peace, Kobe. Obviously, one of the great. And you know, growing up, you know the LeBrons, you know the Michael Jordans, you know the Kobe Bryants, and I was like, "You're like." My first reaction when someone said that, I was like, "You're lying. Like that's not true," because he would be a Hornet. And then I did my research as a kid and kind of figured out that he was drafted by the Hornets and refused to play for us. And originally I was mad. I was like, why? Why? And then I thought about it and I was like, and now as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit for not wanting to play in Charlotte. I love this team, but you know, definitely went to a bigger organization and you know, great player, and rest in peace. Obviously, one of the greatest to ever do it. But yeah, it started with Kobe, and now there's the Shays and the other players that are getting drafted. Neither dealt, want to play in Charlotte or would play in Charlotte, but we're trading them away on trade night. So yeah, it's just a story of our franchise.
That's just what we do, man. But yeah, man, that wraps it up today. You want to take us out, Ian?
Yeah, well, Buzzbound, as always, we appreciate all y'all joining us. Sorry for the couple weeks off. Obviously, life gets busy, especially holiday season with travel and stuff like that. Definitely gets busy, but we appreciate y'all joining us for this episode. And as always, you can follow us on both X and Instagram at Buzzpound Pod, and you can you can find our podcast on both Spotify and YouTube.
And as always, we are the Buzz Pound. Keep pounding and keep the Hive mentality.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Buzz Pound. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and let us know what you thought of this episode. Until next time, this is the Buzz Pound.
Touchdown.